Hey guys, welcome to the video. My name is Oliver King and this channel is all about how to make money off of your hobbies. So I talk about things like photography, videography, and writing. This video is just going to be a showcase of my 10 best-selling photos on stock agencies. So I made a video like this that was kind of similar before, but these are just going to be kind of an updated version of that. So what's selling more recently in February and March of 2019. And then I'd also just like to show my 2 videos that have sold so far on stock agencies. Obviously I'm a beginner, so I haven't sold tons of stuff so far. But it's been a really good return on my time as far as I'm concerned, so I always appreciate other people uploading similar videos to this so I can kind of see what they're working on. And so hopefully the photos and the videos that I'm showing you here are going to be able to kind of give you an idea of what sells and maybe kind of things that you can work on yourself. So in the last video I mostly just talked about shutterstock, but in this video I'm also going to mention black box and big stock and just show how I've been able to make sales on those as well. I think it's always good to see other people making sales on sites so you can actually see whether it's worth your time and the investment that you put into it. So let's jump into the 10 best selling stock images that I have first so you can take a look at those. I'm going to include data on the camera I shot these on, as well as just the exposure and that sort of a thing, so you can just get an idea of how I'm shooting. So let's jump into the portfolio now. So if you've seen my other video, you'll likely recognize a couple of the photographs in here, but I've tried to kind of keep them fresh and show some of the ones that I've recently sold. So this first one was shot in the city I live in downtown, and I've just adjusted the colors in the background a little bit to make it a little bit more moody and mysterious. This was shot on my Sony NEX camera. This next one here was one that was in the other video, and this one is a longer exposure photo of a fire pit and just with some patio lights strung through the trees. Again, I mentioned in the other video that changing your shutter speed is a good way to get more unique shots, so play around with that a little bit just to get some different varied sorts of exposures, and that'll probably help your portfolio a little bit. The one after this was just shot on a smartphone, and this is just where I work doing snow removal. So these are just some of the tractors that we have in a Quonset out the back, and this is a bit more of a unique shot because it's a little bit more industrial, but the light was hitting it pretty nicely, so it looked pretty symmetrical. And then all I really had to do with this is edit out all of the logos that were on the machines so that it would be available to sell. So yeah, that was just a smartphone picture on a Samsung A5. This was shot on the A6000 Sony camera, and this was shot during the day. Didn't have an ND filter, so I had to really crank up the shutter speed to keep it well exposed. But this is just a traffic camera, and again, sometimes you never know what's going to sell. You just take pictures of random things. Conceptually, I can understand why this one might be useful for newspapers and that sort of a thing if they wanted to buy an image. But yeah, sometimes random objects just do end up selling. This one was just a couple beers that were out on the patio, and there's some snow in the background, so it kind of made for a nice winter type picture, sort of a Canadian tourist type of image. And so yeah, sometimes just look around you, and sometimes you'll just notice a couple little objects that are arranged nicely and they have a little concept that goes with them, and those are the kind of images that will sell rather easily. This next one, I just got a jar full of pot because it's legal in Canada and because it's a bit of a hot topic issue right now. So I picked this one, and then I just had a chalkboard, put it behind the jar pot, and then I just wrote down pros and cons here, so you can kind of use this image for whatever your purposes are. The ongoing debate of legalization, so that one's kind of a hot topic sort of picture. This next one I went out and shot with somebody who was on Instagram. He's kind of a fashion type person. I think I've shown this one on the other video as well, but again, it's good to go out and shoot with people, get some different conceptual pictures. I advertised on a site called Kijiji for people who wanted free pictures, and then I just went out and shot with them. And then afterwards, I just asked if they were comfortable putting some of their images up on stock photo sites. So that's a good way to get kind of free models and to exchange your services and free pictures for models and that sort of a thing if you're just starting out with photography, and that worked out really well for me. This next one was just a flat lay that I did in a black and white scheme, and this one sold 3 times in March so far. I took a bit more time arranging this, so that's always good to do. Take a little bit more time with your photographs and just spend a little time arranging them, get a concept together. This one, the concept is kind of a business organization type concept. And again, this one was shot with the old Sony NEX camera, and I was pretty happy with the result. I have a couple that are pretty similar to this one, but the angle of this one came out fairly nicely. Moving right along, this is another long exposure one. This one was given a long exposure for about 15 seconds. The light source at the top is just a fire. I think I have shown this one on the other one as well, but it continues to sell, so just take note of those long exposures. Not everybody has access to a camera that can do long exposures, so people are definitely more willing to buy that sort of a thing just because it's technically more difficult to do. And this was shot with a slightly wider angle lens too, just to kind of capture the elements on each side of the staircase. And this last one I just shot in my garage. I just set up a laptop and a little basket behind it with lights and flowers and a cup of tea. And this one, the whole concept behind it was just kind of, working holiday sort of a thing. And this one sold pretty much right away after I put it up. It's not too special or anything like that, but you can just see that it has a concept behind it, so it could be definitely useful to a lot of different people. So like I mentioned before, I've sold most of my stuff so far on Shutterstock, but I'd also just want to kind of mention two other ones, which are Big Stock and Black Box. So Big Stock is a really good one if you're familiar with the Shutterstock platform. It's really easy to use, it's nice and user-friendly, and compared to a lot of other stock photography sites, it's a lot easier to kind of navigate, keyword, and kind of get your images uploaded. And I also made my first sale relatively quickly on it, so that might be a good avenue for people to look into if you're looking to try more than one platform for getting your images out there. I also just wanted to mention Black Box as well, because I wasn't sure whether or not to put a lot of my footage onto it, because basically what it is a site in which you upload a lot of stock footage, and then they take a percentage of your revenue source, but in return they put it out onto a lot of different stock agencies, so you get a lot bigger spread for putting one video up. So there's a better market technically for whatever videos you put up. So I wasn't sure whether this was going to work or not yet for the footage that I was putting up, but this past month I did make a sale on it, and so technically I've made more off of Black Box so far than Shutterstock. So I can at least tell you that Black Box does work, and it's potentially a good source for a lot of people to look into. So you just got to make sure that when you put stuff up on Black Box, you're not uploading it as well on things like Shutterstock, because then what you're going to end up having is Black Box is going to upload the same videos you're uploading, and that's not going to be a good thing because they don't want two separate parties uploading the same piece of footage. So just bear that in mind, that whatever you upload on Black Box, it's exclusive to them, but they're going to spread it out over a lot of different agencies. So let's get into the stock footage that I've sold so far. And the first one is just me walking through a wind farm that's close to where I live. There's a lot of wind coming through here because I live close to the mountains, so there's a lot of wind farms, and it's kind of an energy-based economy where I live. And so there's a lot of interesting shots that I could get that are more industrial looking. So again, I just went to a wind farm, walked through it, and then I just put myself in the shot, and I just kind of hid my face with a ball cap. So you can definitely do that sort of a thing, include yourself in your own shots so that there's people in the shots. It definitely makes it more financially viable. And then the other one is the one that I sold on Black Box, and this one was just us driving through the Rocky Mountains. Again, I have the mountains at my disposal, so that's really awesome. I have a nice natural landscape that I can kind of use as a focal point for a lot of my photography and footage. It was just footage of me in the backseat of a car just driving along, and I just set up my shutter speed properly, and I set up all the functions of the camera so that it would be a good clean shot, and then I just kept it as stable as I possibly could. So these were the two pieces of stock footage that I've sold so far, so I hope that kind of gives you some idea of what might be selling out there. Again, just a beginner at this, I'm going to keep updating this so you can get a better picture of what I'm selling, and hopefully you can kind of work off those similar ideas. And if you want to get a better idea of what helps you sell stuff on stock footage agencies, I did put a video up about that. It covers more of the technical aspects of what's acceptable on those platforms. So if you want to kind of check that out and maybe try your hand at shooting a little bit of stock footage, it'd be a lot of fun, and it can add a lot more to your portfolio, because selling one video one time is definitely worth more than selling even 100 images sometimes. So this was just an update to the portfolio that I'm building and creating, and I hope it's useful to you. It's nice to have things from a beginner's perspective sometimes, just because I'm starting with rudimentary beginner's equipment and I'm just kind of building on that, and it's nice to generate a revenue source as I'm doing that. So hopefully these are useful to you. Thank you for the support and the conversation that we started in the last video I made. I really appreciated the feedback. So if you have any advice for me or anything you'd like to see from me, let me know in the comments down below. I really appreciate that so many people have subscribed so far in a short amount of time. That's been really fun and really encouraging to keep making videos like this. I think it's a really interesting topic, so I'm just going to keep building off this sort of a thing. And yeah, that's all I got for you for today. So thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.